And they're rushing into the room. You can see them now. We have a lot of people registered, so I'm going to give everybody about 2 minutes to come in and take your virtual seats, and then we'll start. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. You're watching the Arizona Capital Times Morning Scoop, and today we're having a discussion with the presidents of our great state's 3 universities. I'm Gary Grotto, the executive editor of the Arizona Capital Times, and I will be your host. And today's Morning Scoop is sponsored by the Arizona Board of Regents, and I want to thank them for not only sponsoring this, but for all the help they gave us in putting this on. As everybody knows, ABOR is the governing body of the state's university system, and they provide policy guidance to the universities. And now I'd like to introduce our panelists. And I'm going to go from north to south to not show any partiality. And first we have Dr. José Luis Cruz Rivera. President Cruz Rivera began his tenure as the 17th president of the Northern Arizona University in June 2021. And prior to joining NAU, President Cruz Rivera served as the president of the City University of New York's Herbert H. Lehman College in the Bronx, and as executive vice chancellor and university provost of the 25 campus, 500,000 student CUNY system. And that's the world's largest urban university. Good morning, President Cruz Rivera, and thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Arizona State University President Michael Crow. President Crow has led the university since July 2002, and he spearheaded ASU's rapid and groundbreaking transformative evolution into one of the world's best public metropolitan research universities. Welcome, President Crow, and good morning.
Good morning, Gary. Nice to see you.
And our third guest is Dr. Robert C. Robbins. He's the president of the University of Arizona. President Robbins became the 22nd president of U of A on June 1st, 2017. President Robbins is an internationally recognized cardiac surgeon, and prior to coming to U of A, he was the president and CEO of Texas Medical Center in Houston for 5 years. Good morning, Dr. Robbins, and thank you for joining us.
Morning, Gary.
So before we begin the discussion, I want to remind our audience that the chat is open and waiting for your questions and comments. And we have a large audience this morning, so I expect a lot of questions, and I will try to get to as many as possible. So gentlemen, let's start off with a quick comment about the state of your respective universities, since, you know, Governor Hobbs gave her State of the State address a couple weeks ago on January 9th. Let's start with you, Dr. Robbins. What's the state of your university right now?
Well, Gary, I think University of Arizona has come through the pandemic, even though we're still having effects of the pandemic. I think most all of us have come through it, especially our 3 state universities, not only surviving it, but thriving. our universities have continued to have increases in enrollment when many other universities have seen a decrease in enrollment. I think that especially for U of A, because we're the land grant university, we've focused on, with the help of the state legislature, programs around helping our nascent veterinary medicine school, which graduates its first class this spring, to grow and to be more Arizona centric. The model had been to for financial reasons to have sort of the reverse of what we have normally, which is 60% Arizona students and 40% out of state. For our veterinary medicine school, it was the opposite. So we got some funding from the legislature to bring in line so that we can have a 60-40 split with educating Arizonans. And hopefully, of course, they're going to stay here and practice, certainly in rural areas. Cooperative extension, the legislature gave us some money for the first time since 2014 to help that program, which is, of course, in every county in the state. And then, you know, we've been, all three of our universities have been talking with ABOR and together about the dire need for more healthcare professionals in the state. I think most people would know that we have two medical schools, one in Phoenix and one in Tucson. So we think we need to increase the number of graduates from our medical school, nursing school, pharmacy school, and public health schools, as well as physical therapy, occupational therapy, all the parts of the healthcare continuum need to be increased because we're so far behind. And then finally, I would just say we're really fortunate to have such great support for our students. In the strategic plan we developed when I first arrived, over half of the initiatives of that strategic plan were focused on student success. And we're not where we need to be in terms of retention and graduation rate, but we've seen steady progress over the last 5 years. So I think the outlook is really good. We are near $800 million in research expenditures. We're hoping to be more than 800 million this year. So I think things are going well down in Tucson.
Great. It sounds like it. Dr. Crow.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. We came through COVID. I apologize for my cold or whatever this snot attack is that I have. So we came through COVID hardened and sharpened in every possible way. Our rate of innovation accelerated. Our new tools for learning, the best new tools that we've built for learning, were built during COVID and are now deployed, impacting student learning outcomes. We have, during COVID, graduated more Arizona students than ever before, moved more Arizona students into the program than ever before, and attracted more out-of-state and international students into the program before, the majority of which of the out-of-state students stay in Arizona after they graduate. So we're both producing high-quality individuals for the emerging, rapidly evolving workforce demands, as well as attracting people to Arizona. We have about 80,000 students on campus, and then we've taken that same faculty and then linked it in with them progressing or projecting their teaching assets to 90,000 plus online learners. And so that's accelerated during COVID also, and its quality has been enhanced, its outcomes have been enhanced. And so overall, compared to exactly 3 years ago this week, when ASU had our first COVID case in our community, exactly 3 years ago this week, we're a stronger, more impactful, more capable, more innovative institution than we were 3 years ago when the COVID thing started.
Before we move on to Dr. Cruz Rivera, just one real quick question. What was it about the pandemic that allowed you to accelerate so much, as you said, hardened and sharpened?
Well, we were of the view that higher education was as essential as a hospital or a nursing clinic. And so we were of the view to be present 24/7, to do everything we could. We launched 250 COVID-related research projects. The other universities launched a lot of those also. We launched new teaching and learning tools. We trained almost 20,000 K through 12 teachers. We took on tens of thousands of K-12 learners ourselves. So what hardened us and what sharpened us and what made us better was we basically looked at the pandemic as a moment where we had to step up or get out of the way, and we decided to step up.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Dr. Cruz Rivera.
Thank you. Well, the state of Northern Arizona University is strong. This fall, we welcomed our largest ever, most diverse, most Arizonan, most academically accomplished freshman class in our 123-year history. This fall, we will see the launch of our Access to Excellence initiative, which will ensure that all students that are admitted to NAU from a household with an annual income under $65,000 will receive tuition-free education at NAU. We have increased the rate at which we are producing allied healthcare professionals, nurses, occupational therapists, physician's assistants, physical therapists, mental health counselors by 400% over the last decade. And we continue to advance research in areas of distinctive excellence for NAU, spanning astronomy to the environment, mechanical engineering, and other such disciplines. And of course, we are very proud to have launched the Arizona Attainment Alliance, A++, with the partnership of the 10 community college districts, as well as the Arizona Commerce Authority. So things are moving along well at NAU.
Great to hear. Thank you. So, Dr. Crow, and gentlemen, this is kind of a question for everybody, but so go ahead and speak up whenever you want to say something. Can you tell us what your university's doing to broaden the access to higher education?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of things going on where, as I said earlier, we've got more students from Arizona than we've ever had. So we do that by expanding our financial aid access through our own investment. We need the people of Arizona to become more investment minded when they think about laying down the tracks for the next workforce. We also built a thing called our Pathways program. If you flunked out of college, if you didn't finish high school, and you have all the abilities that you have, and you just need a pathway into college, we built some computationally advanced, individual computationally tutored courses through which, as you demonstrate your ability, you can earn your way into the university. We have 4,500 students that are in the university right now from those courses. We also are reaching out with tools and assets and ways in which to engage families. And so we're just doing literally everything we can. We don't need everyone to go to college, but we do need to compete with the other states in terms of getting our population up to 40 to 50% college graduates over their life. That's about what we think the workforce needs. This has been happening everywhere, and I'd be happy to talk about that later, but we're doing everything we possibly can to drive up those numbers for college attainment and break down all the barriers that keep people from coming and also, importantly, from finishing.
Great.
Well, at NAU, as I mentioned earlier, we are very proud of the trends in our enrollment, and that is really a commitment to broaden participation not only to our Flagstaff campus, but also to our 20 other campuses across the state. We have made various policy and practice decisions that allow us to send a very clear message to the people of Arizona, and that is that if you graduate from a high school in Arizona with a 3.0 GPA, you are assured admission. And if you are a member of one of the 22 federally recognized tribes, or you come from a household with an income under $65,000 a year, you will have your tuition covered. We, of course, have also looked at ways in which we can continue to support our students regardless of their annual household income. We want to make NAU the most affordable, high quality option for the people of Arizona that are looking to further their potential and connect with the workforce needs of today and tomorrow.
And you mentioned in your opening remarks the NAU Access to Excellence. That's starting next fall, correct?
This fall, 23, yes.
Yeah. And how are you going to pay for that? Where's the funding coming for that?
Well, as Dr. Crow has mentioned today and in other forums throughout the years, this is more of an institutional effort where we looked at the totality of our financial aid resources, federal, state, and institutional, and made some adjustments so that we could make this clear promise to Arizonans. And that is a promise that applies to more than 1 out of every 2 households in Arizona, given the median income of the state. So it's all with internal money. It's money that we already have and we manage, and we simply adjusted the way that we package our financial aid so that we could make this message clear that it is affordable to go to NAU.
And have you, I would assume that you've already ran the numbers and got some kind of idea about how many people that would involve or how many students that would involve?
Well, we have done some modeling. What I will say is that our applications are up. The number of students that we have admitted for the fall is up, and the yield is up. So we will have to wait to see if our models are validated. But we think it will do a lot, not only to just increase enrollment, but really also increase enrollment in communities that have traditionally not been attending NAU.
So
Hey, thank
Gary,
you.
I'll just add before the next question related to what Jose Luis said, is that Arizona is one of 4 or 5 states that doesn't have substantial state-based financial aid. You know, Georgia has massive state-based financial aid. North Carolina, Wyoming, other states, we don't. So the universities have had to figure out how to generate these resources on our own by being unbelievably efficient. All of that's good, but I will say, you know, we have over 45,000 Pell eligible undergraduates at ASU physically with us. That it's not easy, but we're still making it work. But we're still making the case for additional investments in higher education by the state to compete with other states who are substantially investing more.
And that is the basis of the 3 universities' proposal to the legislature and the governor around our proposed increase of funding for the Arizona Promise program.
Yes,
Dr. Robbins?
I would just add, you know, we could probably spend this whole webinar talking about the how the Promise Scholarship Program works and the importance of it. And I think all 3 of us in the Regents are absolutely aligned on increasing the Promise Scholarship Program, and certainly hope that not only the governor, who I think is going to be very supportive of this approach, as her budget indicates, her proposed budget indicates, but we all have to do a good job of educating the legislature, who has the money, of course, that this is really one of our top priorities to serve our students. I think the Arizona Teachers Academy is also another one. We're really proud that Casey Ukirdes, who heads up our recruitment of students, has been really focused on Pell eligible students, and a couple of years ago finally realized her dream that every Pell eligible student, which 1/3 of our student population is, would come to the University of Arizona tuition free. And then this last year, of course, we introduced the program that if you're part of any of the 22 federally recognized Native nations in Arizona, you would attend tuition free as well. Dual and concurrent enrollment programs also help, because you can be getting college credit when you're in high school. Certainly ASU has been a real leader nationally in this concept, and ASU through a digital offering is really leading the way on this. And so I think those are all important things to help people get to the university and have access. And then once we get them here, we have to support them. The idea that we're going to do tuition reform to make it more predictable for families, that again, ASU and President Crow have been doing this for 10 years with a guaranteed program. So all 3 of us think there's utility in coming together around a more long-term tuition setting. And then all 3 of us are designated as Hispanic serving institutions. And obviously we have a large Latinx Hispanic population in the state. And and programs that go into the community. For instance, Casey and her team have embedded 2 counselors in the Sunnyside School District in South Tucson to help students fill out their FAFSA and make them feel more comfortable and give them the tools that would allow them to come to the University of Arizona. There's a program that's over 50 years in existence called First Start that I love this program. You can come in the summer and take 6 credits, come in as a cohort. It started as a grassroots program by a couple of faculty members, and it really helps those students who are coming first time that anybody in their family, first generation college students come in. And it's intimidating to come to one of these big campuses. All 3 of these universities in Arizona are massive, and they can be intimidating. So I really love this First Start program that helps students acclimate, if you will, and take some courses in the summer and get a real good start to their college career.
Can why don't you talk a little bit more about the dual and concurrent enrollment? First of all, just giving us a quick definition of them.
So we have at ASU, we have 200 courses that we offer to high school students in advanced learning modalities across what we call our universal learner curriculum. Those 200 courses you can take at no cost, and then if you get an A or a B, we recommend that you take the course for credit, lowering your cost. We've lowered the cost for that credit. This is intended to accelerate the pathway into college for kids that are sophomores or juniors or seniors in high school, even some freshmen who are quite capable but don't have access to these kinds of courses. If nothing else, you come out with a better learning experience preparing you for college. And sometimes you can come out, we've got kids coming out with 30, 40, 50, 60 credits. And then that lowers their costs, lets them double major, lets them move on to their masters. And so for us, we have more than 10,000 students taking those courses right now, and thousands of those students at ASU.
And can you give us a little more, information about the being designated a Hispanic Serving Institute? Dr. Cruz Rivera?
Sure. NAU is proud to have been designated as a Hispanic Serving Institution, an HSI, last year. I will say that our Yuma campus has been an HSI for over 30 years. All 3 universities have been designated as such, which from a federal definition perspective, it means that at least 1/4 of our student body is of Hispanic heritage, and at least 1/3 are Pell eligible students. What this allows us to do is compete for federal funds that will allow us to put in place initiatives that will not only help recruit students into our universities, but also support them through graduation and ensure they have good post-college outcomes. Of course, these funds that are set aside for HSIs to compete for also have the benefit that any and all innovations that are done to help the Latino student population typically also help elevate outcomes for all students that we serve.
I'll just add that the goal of the program is to make the country more competitive across all of our population. So we're 3 big, large Hispanic serving institutions. We have more than 30,000 students of Hispanic heritage at ASU. And so, the population of the state is very diverse. We need the state to be successful. So this is a way in which the national government makes investments in these institutions, small investments, but investments to help us to take on large numbers of eager learners and move them forward.
Now, we're talking about broader access. Why can't one or all of you be like the Stanford of the Southwest and be very selective? And what's
well, let me tell you, Gary, that's you're like opening up a nerve for me now. Bobby used to be a faculty member at Stanford. I used to be a faculty member at Columbia, and Jose Luis has been connected to Georgia Tech and other great universities. ASU's honors college, the Barrett College, is larger than the entire undergraduate student body of Stanford. And our students in that honors college are academically the same or better, more diverse, however, and from a broader cross-section of family incomes. In fact, we've beat Stanford often, if not regularly, if not always, in post-graduation awards, Fulbrights, Marshalls, Trumans, all of these kinds of national recognitions. And so what people don't realize is that each of us built honors colleges, and our honors colleges are basically that. Stanford is an honors college. Columbia is an honors college. Harvard is an honors college. Fantastic. And they're fantastic honors colleges. Well, we built those also. And those, so people can't see them because we operate them within the university. And they're performing at the same level as all of these other colleges. I used to be a trustee at an elite honors college called Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, which is one of the original New England 4-year colleges that's ranked in the top 5 of all colleges in the country. They have about 500 undergraduates in their freshman class, maybe fewer than that. In our freshman class of our honors college, we have over 2,000 students. If I took the top 400 or 500 of our students, Bowdoin is like blown out of the water. But because Bowdoin is only measured by that, and it's a great school, make no mistake, we're measured by everything. So people just don't get it. I mean, we've built these opportunities here in Arizona for those kids that want to study all the time and want to take 25 majors and want to learn 16 languages and do 4 degrees in engineering. So that's what we built. We have that.
Yeah, and I would also add, of course, Stanford obviously is a private institution. We're all 3 state institutions, and it's our mission to give access to students to all 3 of our universities. But I think what President Crow, you did hit a nerve. You got him fired up there. But he's absolutely right about these honors colleges. They're great. I attended a really small, Bowdoin-esque, obviously not as good as Bowdoin. One of my partners at Stanford actually was a Bowdoin graduate, but I went to a really small liberal arts college in Mississippi that has about 200 students coming in every year in the entering class. And these things are under great attack because the big state universities like ours have these honors colleges. And for a significantly reduced price of what I think my little college is up to nearly $50,000 a year in tuition in Mississippi. Who can afford that anymore? I predict they're going to really struggle because the value of these large state university honors colleges, you get the value and a high quality educational experience. So President Crow is absolutely right on.
I would just add that folks sometimes equate access with lower quality, and that is far from the truth here in Arizona. We are giving access to excellence, and there are many ways in which we can measure and validate that. I think Dr. Crow has made a strong case using ASU as a case study.
Thank you, Doctor. So I want to move on to a subject that's sort of related to access. What's the role of the public university in coordination with K-12 and community colleges? I know there's an example in U of A where the College Academy for Parents. I mean, you're going to the elementary schools, am I right?
Yeah, well, it starts usually 6th, 7th, 8th grade, but that's another one of my favorite programs at the U of A when I found out about it. I mean, it was incredibly moving the first time that I experienced the hosting of these families in one of the big ballrooms in our student union, and to see these children come up and get sort of a diploma about their commitment to go to a university. Of course, we want them to come to the U of A, but their parents being there, having dinner, and it's just the first time that many of these families have ever even contemplated the idea of going to college. And so I asked someone, why aren't we expanding this program more? And I found out the budget for the whole program was only like $5,000 or $6,000. So we definitely increased that. But this is a fantastic program that the community can see the University of Arizona come in be able to get information, and over the period of 4, 5, 6 years, that there would be no question that their children are going to go to college, and it gives them a pathway forward, and it's not going back to that New Start program. It's not intimidating. It's not, the summer before, but it's a 3 or 4 or 5 year relationship building in order to get them comfortable, have them understanding you to fill out a FAFSA, to get financial aid, and just be comfortable being on the campus. And whether they go to our university or any other, we think it's a really important part of connecting to the K-12 system.
Yeah, what I would add is that, one of the hugest design flaws in American education is the separation of the universities from K-12 is excessive. It's cultural, it's organizational. So we think that we should be intimately working on everything from teacher training to advanced teacher training to new innovations, new techniques, new technologies, working together, driving together. And we've built many, many things that enable us to be able to do that. But there's one other thing that we have to do, and that is we have to start calling things for what they are. If you're not graduating 95% of your students through high school, your school is not succeeding. If your school isn't succeeding, then we've got to find ways to accelerate learning outcomes. And we believe that the focus should be on the design of the schools, the design of the system, the innovation of the system, the training of the teachers, and so forth. There's no individual people to blame here for this. There's just a lack of an innovative culture. So we focused all of our energy on accelerating innovation with our K-12 partners throughout the state and, in fact, throughout the rest of the country.
At NAU, we have similar programs with our K-12 systems, everything from teacher preparation and training to meeting with families to ensure that they can create and develop the college-going aspirations and do the things that need to be done to be prepared for applying and being admitted into college. We also are very focused on community colleges, which was part of your question, and that is to say that we understand that there are various pathways to a 4-year degree. And here in Arizona, we do not have a system of community colleges. We have 10 independent community college districts. And so one of the first things that we have done at NAU over the past year and a half has been trying to work with our community college leaders with the Arizona Commerce Authority and bring everyone together so that we can streamline those pathways. And that is the Arizona Attainment Alliance I mentioned earlier. We'll be making some very exciting announcements in the next few weeks around some of the first initiatives that together jointly we will take, initiatives that will benefit over 320,000 students that we all collectively serve.
All right, well, let's talk about attainment for a second. Or for a minute. So why is college attainment an important goal for the state of Arizona?
Well, I think all these initiatives we've been talking about to ensure that citizens of Arizona get a college degree is really important to the economy, for training our workforce for jobs that are going to be coming as our state grows and has more high-tech jobs here. But I also think a person's educational attainment is one of those things that's most important in life in determining her or his employment, income, health status. There's very clear data on healthcare. The more highly educated you are, the more access you have to healthcare, probably because you make more money, but you're more informed and you live a healthier life and a happier life, even though, it's hard to determine happiness, but there are plenty of studies that would point to this. Also, housing and quality of life factors. So I think from a personal standpoint, it's certainly something that is important. But also 47% of all the jobs created over the next 10 years will require at least a bachelor's degree or higher, and 60% will require some some level of post-high school education. The number of jobs in Arizona's economy requiring bachelor's degrees, it jumped from 381,000 to 751,000, and it's expected to go to almost 1 million by 2030. So I think, these are all important data, but, being better educated, it gives you a chance also. All of us get the opportunity, and all of our faculty and staff get the opportunity at a time in someone's life when they're leaving home for the first time often, to be able to help shape their future thinking about meeting people that they've never met, from people from all countries of the world. And every one of our universities, we have students from around the world. So I think seeing different parts of the world and opening your mind and thinking that maybe you want to be an engineer, but you come out being a heart surgeon. You never know what's going to happen when you go to the university, but it's really something I think is helpful, not only personally in development, but for the economy of our state.
Let me use a story, Gary, that helps people to understand why their arguments against more people going to college are false. So let's just take the military of the United States. So people born in 2005 that turn 18 in 2023 and can join the military, only 25% or less of those cohort, those 18-year-olds, are even qualified to become an enlisted person in the military. You must have a high school diploma. You must have math aptitude. You must have linguistic aptitude. You must have spatial intelligence aptitude. You must be physical fit. You cannot be a drug user. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. So 75% of the country is not eligible to enter the service of the United States in the military. All officers in the military cannot enter without a college degree because of the increasing complexity associated with things. Now, we're working with the Navy and the Air Force to accelerate the learning outcome of every sailor and every airman in both of those services to the highest level possible, because the military is very consciously aware of the fact that, launching cruise missiles under drone controlled systems with feedback systems and the system analytic tools that you've got going on, or using drones in infantry combat and all the other things that are going on, or driving an M1A2 main battle tank, or launching all the things that you're seeing in Ukraine. It turns out that higher levels of educational attainment help our soldiers to defeat the enemy more regularly and have lower levels of casualties. And so the same thing is happening in the workforce. The workforce itself is expanding into these jobs that require these higher levels of education. And there's lots and lots of people that don't understand that. They don't understand. Just take the military thing. 75% are not qualified to enter the military at age 18. That is a strategic weakness of the highest order. You can see the same thing. We're not producing enough engineers. We're not producing enough scientists. We're not producing enough nurses, enough medical technicians. And so who does those things? The universities do all of those things. And so people say, we don't, you guys are stupid. You don't need so many college graduates. It actually is not true. We're behind the 8 ball right now on many, many dimensions, and we're trying to figure out how to produce more.
And that was going to be, my next question. Because according to a workforce study conducted by Jim Rounds of Rounds Consulting, each year Arizona's economy demands 68,000 new bachelor's degrees. And in fiscal year 21, there were 35,800 from the 3 universities. And so how do you make up that deficit?
Well, right now it's being made up by recruiting people into Arizona to take the high wage jobs, and the people from Arizona aren't getting the high wage jobs.
Right.
So we need to broaden participation to that point. We need more Arizonans to not only aspire to go to college, but be prepared adequately for college level work. And so we need more Arizonans to be college going. And then, of course, the universities have the responsibility to ensure that we help them through graduation and provide them the quality education they need to have good post-college outcomes. So at the end of the day, the economy in Arizona is booming. It's one of the fastest growing in the country. But as has been said earlier, about 60% of the new jobs require some form of post-high school, post-secondary credential. And we are one of the lowest in the country in terms of educational attainment. So we need to expand the pipeline and do better in getting students through. One of the most alarming statistics that I have seen in the time I've been here in Arizona is that notwithstanding those deficits in college degrees every year, if we look at our ninth graders today, only 17% of those ninth graders are expected to have a bachelor's degree by 2029. So we have a lot of work to do in partnership with a K-12 system, community colleges, and of course, the state for the resources we need.
Which means South Korea, which has now more than 60% of its population attaining college degrees and has built an economy that's now larger than and more successful than either Great Britain or Italy, after being destroyed 70 years ago in a war. It's the most unbelievable thing to see. Education was at the central axis of the South Korean boom, and it still is and still will be going forward. And Americans, in my view, possibly my colleagues also, just gotten a little lethargic about all of this. Oh, well, we've gone far enough. You know, the competition isn't really as good as us. Guess again, cowboy. You know, things are moving forward into whole new ways of thinking and whole new ways of advancing. And so we've got to figure out how to get more people, not everyone, more people educated through college and more people educated through enhanced education through each phase of their life, all the way until they're in their 60s, unless we want everyone living on Social Security only from age 60 to age 95, the new lifespans, which will then bankrupt the country in another way. So we've got all kinds of other issues to deal with.
All right, well, let's move on to research. Can you just talk a little bit about the role that the public universities play, you know, to be at the forefront of scientific discoveries and solutions to improve lives and the world around us? Dr. Robbins?
Well, I think this is one, again, we could spend the whole time on, but certainly research at our public universities in Arizona is crucial for discoveries and innovation that are going to be part of Arizona's future economy. New technologies that are created and discoveries that are made are going to enhance the lives directly of Arizonans. In the fiscal year 2021, Arizona Public University's research activity, as measured by our research expenditures, grew year over year by $28 million to $1.5 billion. So there are only 19 universities in the United States that have reached $1 billion of research expenditures. Within the next couple of years, we're going to have 2 in Arizona. ASU has grown. President Crow can give you all the details of how much research expenditures there were when he arrived 20 years ago and how much there is today. I mean, it's just remarkable. So all of our universities are important in this continuum of discovering new knowledge and then translating those fundamental discoveries into commercializable products that simply make the world a better place.
So let me give you an example of that. So one of the areas where we have a huge concentration of focus at ASU, maybe 5 or 10% of our total research activity, is around understanding biomolecules like those that have the plants in the picture behind Bobby operate. So photosynthesis is a thing we don't fully understand physically or chemically. We've built an unbelievable laser cannon with unbelievable energy at unbelievable speeds that allows us to dissolve all of that biomolecular system so that we can understand how it works chemically. The second we can understand how it works chemically, we can then build it, we can replicate it, we can make it happen. So all you need for us to move forward in Arizona is sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, and we can do almost anything with those 3 elements. We believe that we can lay the foundation for an entire photonic sunlight-driven economy. You can produce electrons, you can produce energy, you can produce hydrogen, you can produce foodstuff, medicine, all with only those 3 ingredients, but you have to understand how to replicate the wonders of nature, and that's what we're focused on.
At NAU, we are a high research university. A lot of our work is directed at solving issues that directly affect the people of Arizona. Dr. Julie Baldwin of the Southwest Health Equity Research Group works to improve health outcomes for underserved communities across the state. We have Andrew Sanchez-Meador from our Environment or Ecological Restoration Institute, who works on forest treatments for prevention and limitation of the impact of catastrophic forest fires. And just recently, Christina Thomas was the lead observer of the DART mission with NASA that shot an asteroid out of orbit and was able to measure the impact of that effort. So very much targeting.
Which means we might have a way now to defend ourselves against these asteroids, which can wipe us out.
Very, very leading edge research work that's done by our faculty, and of course it benefits not only the communities and the literature in scientific literature, but also the students that are active participants and develop skills that then translate to the workplace.
Now, there's that research that you were just talking about, but you also work with the state, right? To figure out problems, the state agencies for, like firefighter cancer, valley fever, wildfires, and ASU you're currently working on groundwater supply.
Well, we're working. We are going to lead. The other universities will be involved also. A water innovation initiative, where what we're after is what is every trick in the book, every tool, every mechanism to take this water issue that Arizona has and get it into a 21st century, 22nd century management modality. There's no shortage of water. There's no shortage of water allocations. The doom and gloom is scaring everybody away from the solutions that we've got to put in place. And so this initiative, funded by outgoing Governor Ducey, just as he was leaving office, is an initiative where we're going to take everything we've done, every team we can bring together, every asset that we can bring together, and accelerate water innovation in Arizona. New ways to deliver water, new ways to process water, new ways to bring in water from the atmosphere. We already have spin-out companies. We'll have more spin-out companies, more solutions, better decision capabilities, all those things.
Yeah, and there's a practical one too, that there's a program around mitigating dust migration. There's a disease called valley fever, coccidiomycosis, that is endemic in our region. We
had a student die of valley fever during COVID. We had no students die of COVID.
Yeah, but we're one of the leading places to try to come together. All three of our universities are participating with the Department of Environmental Quality to look for solutions to help mitigate the dust, but also looking for potential vaccines even for cocci. Certainly, it's another area where having a veterinary school is important, because cocci is rampant in dogs in Arizona. We think there's a vaccine that works pretty well in dogs and hopefully will be translated into humans. So those are specific examples of how fundamental research can improve the lives of Arizonans.
And let's talk real quick, because we're running out of time, about the New Economy Initiative. What progress has been made on that? And I guess, first of all, if one of you could just give a quick definition of what the New Economy Initiative is.
Yeah, most broadly, it's the three universities each being given an assignment to advance Arizona as rapidly as possible to the front of the line of the science and technology vigorous states like Maryland or Virginia. Those are two unbelievably advanced states. Illinois, Washington, Texas. These are very, very advanced scientific and technologically driven places. This initiative is to allow us to lay down the people production, the idea production, the technology production. So ASU's assignment is to build the largest and most highly attaining and most scalable engineering school in the country. We're on our way to doing that. We have done that. We have to continue to perfect that model. And then we're launching 5 to 7 new science and technology centers, which will lay the seedlings with dozens of companies in each area, where we'll be launching new scientific and technological breakthroughs, which will be the seeds for new industries, complete new industries. So that's our assignment.
The NAU assignment is around the health fields and environment and forestry. We have been tasked with exponentially increasing the number of nurses, occupational therapists, physical therapists, mental health counselors in the state, as well as devising the new technologies that will ensure that we are protected from the devastating effects of the wrong use of forestry resources in the state.
Yeah, and we've been focused on things that are around cooperative extension, agriculture. We got a large amount of funding to go out and assess the difference between flooding a field to grow lettuce in Yuma versus drip irrigation. There had to be a 20% reduction in water with no decrease in productivity. So we sort of administer those funds to farmers who apply for it, and then measure the outcomes. So those are direct things that would help us with saving water and conserving water, yet continuing to produce and feed most of North America in the winter out of Yuma with lettuce and other vegetables and fruits. Obviously, we're focused on healthcare as well, in the area of cancer engineering, being able to take a tumor and put it on a chip to look at the genotyping, and then potentially running arrays of drugs that may be effective against that specific tumor. That's an exciting area that we were funded to do. And also One Health. One Health is really the convergence of human and animal health with climate science, to understand how climate change and all the things that are going on with the pandemic. Where did it come from? Did it come from the wet lab, wet market, and is it zoonosis transmitted from animals? All these things are really important as we go forward, and the legislature has been funding each of our universities to do, as President Cruz says, tasks and assignments that are important to make the state better.
Yeah, you might mention also, Bobby, the hypersonic missiles, that hypersonic flight that the U of A is taking the lead on. Just as the Russians move hypersonic missiles into firing range in the Black Sea, the U.S. is less capable in hypersonic missiles, so the U of A has.
Yeah, we have a second now hypersonic chamber to test projectiles that travel 5 times the speed of sound, Mach 5. And this was a coordinated effort with Raytheon, because of course they're close by, and we jointly went together to seek state funding to fund this second hypersonic chamber at the U of A, because a lot of the research on materials and different aspects of how these projectiles, these missiles, could deteriorate at these high levels of speed are important. As President Cruz says, this is not only an economic driver, but it's a very important national security issue. So investment in these research programs in partnership with commercial entities like Raytheon are really important.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Robbins. And I want to take a couple questions, 1 or 2 from the audience here. Here's one that was asked quite a while ago, and going back to the dual enrollment. And the question is, high school dual enrollment and other programs seem very important for early pathways to college. AZ high schools traditionally have poor student to counselor ratios. How can universities help all Arizona high school students learn more about opportunities to get ahead in college at the high school level?
So we're using a number of technologies, including the Me3 technology that NAU is using also, and U of A is going to be using it, which then helps guide students to a track in college. And then we also have tool after tool after tool to help high school students and high schoolers' families to find their pathways into the university. So we're using technologies. We're also offering courses that are self-tutored by robots that we've built in, that then help you get up to the level of pre-calculus while you're in high school, even if your teachers can't get you there in your particular high school for whatever reason. That is an example. So that's where we're putting our emphasis.
Anybody else? No? Okay. So here's one, and I believe this comes from the governor's budget. Could you speak on the Dreamer Promise program? Anybody want to take that up?
Yeah, we look at the Dreamers as graduates of high schools in Arizona who've lived in Arizona and who, through no fault of their own, came to Arizona for whatever reason, and they are qualified because they graduated from an Arizona high school and they meet our admission standards. And so anything we can do to be helpful to help those kids get through college, because they are here by acts of other people and have stayed in Arizona, gone to high school in Arizona. So we're just trying to find ways to be helpful to them.
And we're really appreciative of this funding, because each one of us has been doing it privately. We obviously heretofore couldn't use state funding, so we raised money through our foundations to help fund these students. So this is a great investment.
And with Prop 308 being approved by the voters, not only providing in-state tuition to our Dreamers, but also access to in-state financial aid, it is important that we provide them the same resources, opportunities to enroll and be successful in our universities.
Now, all of you went to the legislature last week and spoke to the Appropriations Committee, and one lawmaker asked each of you the same question about your greatest challenges, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. What's going to be your challenges in the future? What do you gentlemen see you're going to have to get innovative on and really go at it hard?
Yeah, I answered it simply that our number one challenge, or my number one challenge, is always having enough financial resources. And this is we're getting toward the end here. President Crow has been on a 20-year fight about this. We simply do not get the funding that other states get to support higher education. And I would say we don't get adequate funding for K-12. So Governor Hobbs is going to be very focused on this. And hopefully there can be something worked out with the legislature where there could be dissonance, lack of dissonance in their approaches to this. But we need more funding. We've all been forced to be innovative. President Crow is the textbook on this and the gold standard for how a university can be innovative to generate out of a necessity for funding. And the way that ASU has grown just is a testament to his innovative and visionary leadership. So all of us have had to use out-of-state tuition in order to be able to keep the cost of education for students as low as we possibly can for in-state students. So the Promise program, more funding, more funding, more funding.
I would just say that funding is not due to a lack of effectiveness or efficiency on part of the institutions. It's really a need to meet the ambitions that we have set for our institutions based on the needs of the state. So it's a question for the state on whether or not they want to invest to achieve these outcomes that are so needed, and that we are able and willing and ready to deliver on. So these are investments that will serve the people of Arizona well.
So all I'll say is that we've got to get the people of Arizona to have aspirations for their future, which is that the state of Arizona will be one of the greatest places to live in our country, one of the most successful, economically evolving, culturally evolving places. And to do that, we just have to raise up our game. It's like anything. It's like playing football. It's like playing baseball, basketball. You've got to raise up the game. You got to get more players, better coaches, better designs. You got to make all these things happen. And so it's not either or, as the last question suggests. It's research or this. It's all those things together. So that's what we're focused on. What we really need is a spirit of the future in Arizona, which sees us as becoming one of those places.
Spirit of the future. All right. Well, we'll leave it on that. And I just want to thank our panelists, our three presidents, Dr. Michael Crow, Dr. Robert Robbins, and Dr. José Luis Cruz Rivera for taking the time today and being with us and talking with us. And I want to thank the Arizona Board of Regents for sponsoring this. And keep your eyes out because we're going to have a lot of morning scoops coming up. One on February 7th that has to do with the East Valley Institute of Technology, more education. So thank you very much. And everybody have a great day and a great weekend.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you later.